just Stats, Reggie Johnson, Eugene Morgan coming to you from the lovely city of Atlanta, Georgia. And Eugene, we have the conspiracy theory people are out here. They are saying that it is a rig job here. I guess the rig is in, the fix is in, so to speak,
Yep.
on the draft. Saying, how is it possible that a franchise makes what perceivably is the worst decision ever from everybody's, the outside world looking in? They're like, you just trade away your guy and you just get given another guy. They say, you know what, Dallas fans, here's a reprieve. Here's a, we know it's not your fault. Nico did this. I mean, I'm not sure if this guy's even safe at this point. I mean, we're talking a little bit about that, but there's talks like, are they even going to keep the pick? Are they going to keep the pick? Are they going to trade it? Because, Giannis is on the move. I guess we'll talk about all that. But to get into the conspiracy theory people, did you ever buy any of those like draft conspiracy theories? Because I don't know if you remember back in the day. It all started with that Patrick Ewing going to New York.
Patrick Ewing. There's a lot. I mean, I love it. I'm always great. I mean, I love conspiracy theories where it doesn't harm anybody. It's fantastic. It's great content. I love it. I mean, I love the flat Earth. I love the flat Earth conversations. It doesn't hurt anybody, right? It doesn't. The JFK, we can talk about. Doesn't hurt anybody. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy that this happened. They traded away their best player. The Dallas fans are just. I have never felt more sorry for a fan base in my life, because it's like,
yeah, they did nothing but wake up and their guy is gone. That's all they did.
Exactly. They woke up, we thought, hey, this isn't the season we wanted, but hey, we still have like a generational talent, so we could just build around it and continue on. We went to the finals last year, things are not that bad, things are okay. Then their GM trades away the generational talent, and then lo and behold, they get the draft pick to probably another, quote unquote,
never know until you see, right?
We never know until we see it.
But it looks good, though. I mean, it's
he looks really good. He looks
very,
very promising. I don't know. I mean, when I saw, I think I sent you the top 4 teams that were going to have it, and it's like, I don't want to see him on any of these teams. So I'm okay.
This is not a bad situation, right? You're correct. Out of all the situations for him to go to, and I think for fans to watch him go to, did you want to really watch him languish in Washington somewhere, or something like that?
No. My only fear was that since the Spurs had our pick, that they would have gotten. That was my only fear. Like, okay, thank God they got the number 14 pick from our pick, but that was my only fear. It's like, oh, don't let this happen. Like, that leapfrogged us. We got the number 1 pick, leapfrogs us, and then San Antonio gets our pick to get number 1. It didn't happen.
Been terrible, right? Oh,
right.
That would have been terrible.
They got the number. I think it ended up being number 2 there. So I mean, it ended up being fine. But that was my only fear. But no, I'm okay. I mean, I don't. Yeah, maybe. I mean, yes. There's definitely signs. I'm not disputing anything. There's definitely a timeline of conspiracies, and it makes sense, but I'm okay. I would much rather see him. I was like, I texted you, like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to watch Washington next year. I don't want to watch Utah games. I definitely want to watch.
You don't want
games.
to watch Utah games. So this is a shot at Utah, man. Just like, hey, I just don't want to watch you guys.
I don't want to watch
maybe
it.
With Cooper Flag, would you think that you'd want to watch them? Because then they'd have marketing, they'd have Flag. They have a budding little team there.
Yeah, they do, and they do. They do have a good team, but my gosh, I mean, I don't know where Kyrie's going to be next year, but Flag and AD.
He got injured late. Kyrie, right? So Kyrie's going to be gone for a good portion of the year.
A good portion of the year, right? But I mean, I don't know. I just would rather see him be on a competitive team. And if I'm wrong for that, great. I mean, my other one was like, I was okay seeing him with Utah. I mean, I think that would have been fun. That would have been fun.
You just didn't want to have to watch the games.
Right. I just didn't want to watch it. Right.
Like, I'm fine with the team. I just don't want to have to watch you there, is what you're saying. Like,
exactly. Again, if I'm wrong, yes. Am I buying into conspiracies? Yes. I'm all for it. I understand it. It makes total sense. I get what
man, people are saying it's rigged, man. They're saying, hey, this is where maybe it's just the basketball gods, maybe just compensating the Dallas fans, saying, "Hey guys, here's an olive, what is leaf tree?
Tree, yep, or leaf tree, or Absol, you know, whatever leaf you
or
want
olive
to throw there.
seller or olive oil. But here we go
Yeah,
for one of the worst mistakes made to a reprieve here coming into the season with a new guy. And it's great with NIL. If you're Cooper Flag, I mean, you could always just say, no, I'm not going to Washington, man. I'll just go back to Duke and
right,
play for another year and see who gets
absolutely.
me and who's got a shot at me next year. I mean, if you can really run that back a couple of years with NIL and insurance and stuff like that. So I think that this is a good situation for him. If I was him, this would definitely spur to come out for sure, because Dallas is not a bad place to be.
No,
So this would spur me to, yeah, for sure, I'm going to go there. But it's just interesting, all the conspiracy theories, all the people who are feeling like I don't know if they thought the NBA maybe wanted to reward Dallas. I'm not sure why the NBA. I feel like if it wasn't a conspiracy theory for the NBA, Eugene, the
yeah,
NBA would have this rigged in such a way that a talent like that goes to a big market team. If it
right.
was an NBA rigged
Mm-hmm.
situation, he'd end up like in LA, New York, somewhere, one of those big market teams. Chicago, who I heard Chicago lost him by a coin flip, by the way. I heard like that there was a coin flip and Chicago lost him. Chicago went to 12. So if Chicago had
Right,
won the coin flip, they would have been first and
right,
Dallas would have been here. And Chicago lost the coin flip and they are now 12th picking 12th, and Cooper Flag, by grace of a coin flip, goes to the Dallas Mavericks. So absolutely amazing, right?
right.
It's
That's a
absolutely
perfect
amazing.
point because you have two high. I mean, we can throw Brooklyn in there. They're still in New York, but you're right. So it's either Brooklyn or Chicago on that list, right? There's no other
Right.
high
Those are
market team,
your big market teams that you
big
would kind
market
of
team.
want them to go to if you want a guy like that to go somewhere from an NBA perspective. Anyway, I don't think the NBA is not as emotional about these individual teams. I would imagine more so than about how big this market is. How much money can we make? And Dallas isn't a small
Correct.
market. Don't get me wrong. No, it's not. It's maybe. I mean, I don't know if it's as good as the New York markets, but I think it's as good as the San Antonio market, the Charlotte market, Utah, those markets,
Hmm.
as good as those. And
Right.
maybe even you want them in Philly. Philly, it's a pretty big market. So great for the Dallas fans. What a way to end the year. What a crazy seesaw year for that fan base. And
Yeah.
I think it's good for them. There's no hate on
Yeah.
my side here from Atlanta. We talk
No.
about the lottery in of itself. What do you think here? I mean, anything earth shattering besides the Cooper Flag situation? He's really the only guy I even know. I got to go take a look at some of these guys, see who's
No. I
possible,
mean,
what's
there's. I
possible for
mean,
us here at 13.
we there's a lot of talent. I mean, you really it's kind of what 1 through 6. And don't get me wrong, there's some really good players after that point, but yeah, I'm with you right there. I have to do a lot more studying after like when I get through Cooper and just kind of that sixth pick, just from what I'm listening to on podcasts. But um, I mean, Atlanta's in a good spot, right? So we got 2 picks. What we need to get back in that first round. So we have 2 picks in the first round, and it's going to be interesting. And I sent you the message. It was like, what are we going to do? I mean, are we still
So we got
building
2
around
picks in
Trey?
the first, but we don't have a second round pick, is what it looks like, right? We have
Yeah,
2
I
picks
mean
in the
that's
first.
yeah, and you're correct. Yeah, so but I mean that's so again, it all comes down to the Trey Young conversation. Are we building? Are we trading? So that'll be the interesting thing in the summer since there's not a lot of free agents in this market this year. So, but that'll be the thing we'll have to watch out for this the draft and for free agency.
Yeah, how do you get better, and what kind of decision are you going to make on trade? Because it's going to be time for a decision to be made here sooner than later, right? Now, another decision that's being discussed here, um, as we look here at the Mavs potential starting five, and that potential starting five for the Mavs would be Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis, and Daniel Gafford. Now, what's interesting is our Irving and Davis are constantly out of the lineup there, right?
Hmm.
Well, at least Davis is. Or Irving can be, but Irving can also have spouts of health. I don't think he's as. I'll have to go back and look and see if in actuality, but I don't think he's been as injured as Anthony Davis has been in the past. Maybe he's getting that pass because he does have that chip back in the day with LeBron, but Anthony Davis is a chip too. Maybe the bubble chip, they're not giving him the credit for that. But Definitely known to be made of glass more so than Kyrie Irving. And this is a nice lineup, I think, on paper. When you're looking at a Irving, Thompson, I mean, Clay's not what he used to be, but you can still shoot it. Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford. It's not a bad lineup on paper, right?
No.
If you could actually get that lineup.
That's your thing. That's where how long's Kyrie going to be out, and Anthony Davis is always the question marks. But again, if you can piece it together through the season, and then you get into the playoffs, and you avoid that kind of the play-in scenario, maybe you get to that 6th seed, then you're kind of right back where you want to be, right? You're not. So you lose out being in the play-in game this year, right? So you get in the play-in game, you just look horrible the whole year. You look horrible on paper from obviously the Luka trade. Now you get back, and now you get into like that 6th seed, right? Maybe you get into that 6th seed. You avoid the play-in game, and now you're giving your fans hope again. So I think that's the cool thing. Is like, okay, we made this horrible trade. Look, guys, look, fan base, we're back in the mix. We fell. We were in the play-in game. Now we're in that 6th seed, and now you're kind of seeing the potential of this team. So I can see that being this team next year. Just kind of being in that avoid the play-in game, being in that 6th seed. But I mean, the West is so competitive, so we kind of see where all the chips fall when the free agency ends. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak into that 6th seed in the West with that lineup, and it's all healthy.
Yeah, that's that if the all healthy part, right?
That's you're right. That's your caveat.
What do you think? What do you think here, though? Because I'm looking here. What do you think the fan base? Because you add Luka, if you add Luka to this, I don't necessarily see a better lineup, to be honest with you. If I was to add Luka to this current lineup, I don't know if it's a better lineup. I mean, Luka Flag, I guess, would have been a nice combination to watch the two of them. But they kind of seem similar to me in certain ways. I don't know, man. I definitely would prefer Luka instead of Flag because Luka's a proven commodity. He's
obviously,
averaging
right.
30. He's averaging 30.
Yeah.
So you definitely take Luka over Flag. But I think with the lineup as currently constructed, I feel like I don't know if you would want both of them on the same team here. They might not even keep Flag himself. They're saying Flag might be out of here for your boy Giannis. What's your thoughts on that? Because Giannis, and then we talked about this before with some of these small market teams here, Eugene. Yeah. They try to do everything they can to keep their superstars. And a lot of the foreign players, they don't really request trades a ton. They're kind of loyal to these teams. They stick around for a while, so it would be devastating unless you get a king's ransom for the guy. Yeah. He's got years left. He's got years left on contract. So you can get a king's ransom. I feel like that's kind of what you're kind of be forced to do. What are your thoughts here on the whole Giannis maybe leaving Milwaukee situation? Because he hasn't even said he is, but it seems.
Well, I know he said
people are like, oh, that's it, it's over.
Yeah, he's like, I would be interested, like, and maybe pursuing. I can't remember the exact terminology, but it was very like nonchalant, right? It was not very
softening his "I don't want to go anywhere" rhetoric. That he was used to say back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, from all things I've seen just recently from the Dallas side of it, they said we're picking Flag. There's no potential to trade, so let's just take them out right out the bat. But you have two really good teams. You have one good team that lost in the playoffs that could use them right away. Like Houston right away. Houston they have the players on the bench, players that they could trade for Giannis right away, right? Because Milwaukee, they need guys. They need guys. They don't need just picks. They need guys. Because once you get past Giannis, what do you got? Kuzma? You've got Dame, who, I mean, I love Dame, but older guards just don't transition well. They don't age well. They're not like fine wine. They don't age well in the NBA. So you've got Houston and Oklahoma City, right? Those are your two teams that have the draft capital. And you could throw Brooklyn in there, but if I'm Giannis, I don't want to go to Brooklyn just because there's nothing there that's like I feel like I'm just leaving one situation in Milwaukee. I'm going to Brooklyn. It's going to kind of be the same thing. I mean, I know they have
I
kind of
like him in
Cam
Houston
Thomas.
better too. I agree with that.
I
Definitely
like the
contends
Houston.
too for draft capital wise. I mean, if you definitely would probably want to be better than that. Like you definitely looking at like not necessarily San Antonio or 76ers. I mean, 76, these are all the attractive picks, right? Those top few picks. Because once you get to Houston is at 10, maybe Houston moves up and they can try to make a move. But let's just if you're just talking random hypotheticals,
Just random
I
hypotheticals.
like
Is
Houston
it
much
better?
better.
Right. They have players that you would want,
And
but
have young players too, man.
they
It's
have
an
young players.
exciting young
Right.
team there.
Yeah, and you can get Cam Whitmore, you get Shepard, and those two guys have been sitting on the bench, and then they got a couple, a starter or two that you can probably get, and you can probably get some draft capital out of it. So that's more the thing I would want. But again, I mean, if I'm just drafts wise, Oklahoma City has all those. I think you said that I sent you all the picks. It's like
Yeah, man.
they can rebuild
They
with
can
just
get a lot.
picks. They get a lot of picks. I mean, let's just face it. They're not trading less GA. They're not going to trade Chet. They're not giving.
It's
I mean, they
crazy.
may
They're
give you
literally
Chet, but
in the playoffs as we speak, and they
right.
have all those picks. They have all those picks, and they're literally in the playoffs
Mm-hmm.
as we speak. That's how you do it.
Right.
That's how a team doing it the right way, right there.
Right. And it's like, oh, they still have weren't they in the top 10 in the picks as well? So like they still have a top 10 pick. So it, but it's I guess it's where Milwaukee wants to be. It's like, do you want to like bring? I'm with you. I wouldn't want Houston because Houston has players and they got some picks. But again, I want to know where I don't know what their picks are at and what they got, but because I mean, if I'm getting Houston picks, then they're not going to be anything worthwhile because if I'm giving you Giannis, you're probably going to be in that top tier
Okay,
team.
so he
So
picks 15th and 24th in
yeah,
this draft.
so okay, I knew they
Or
had
yeah,
like some
15th, 24th. And then the Nets have 3 in the first round. They got the 19th, the 26th, and the 27th pick in this draft. They got
So I think
at least in the first round, I should say.
Right, and that's the thing with I like Houston because again, I could get some picks. I know I could get some picks for Giannis. I could get some guys back that can plug into my lineup right away and that I can play. Because let's just face it, I'm just looking at Shepard and Whitmore. They both guys been on the bench. They didn't been playing them. Obviously, they haven't needed them, but and they had just other guys that would want from the Houston from that. If I give you Giannis, okay, I want some of your bench guys. I want some of your starters, and then I want some of your picks. I think I could rebrand my team better with the Houston versus let me get all these picks from Oklahoma City. When I don't know, I just for me, especially in the East with the news we have with Boston, the East is going to be a little more wide open. So maybe I can rebuild my team now. And I'm not saying I'm going to be a championship the next year, but at least I'm making a strive towards a playoff potential versus, oh yeah, I'll get these picks, but I don't know. It's just picks are different for me in in NBA versus NFL. I would rather have way more picks in the in the NFL versus NBA. I want more talent, and I would rather have more talent and future picks. That's great, but I kind of want to have more talent right away now, especially if I'm in a rebuild.
Yeah, the Jason Tatum news from Boston is unfortunate. They ruptured Achilles and this time of year means it's going to be about this time of year when he comes back, and then depending on what their season is, they may not even do that. You know how that goes. They might push that out another
right, depending on where they end. Right,
yeah, they might push that out to another season. So that's extremely unfortunate. We had 42. I think I gotta go back and see. I think he was in the 40s. It's just so unfortunate because he was right. I wouldn't say I felt like they were gonna lose a series either way, but just go down fighting like that. It's wild, and it's kind of a surprise here from the Milwaukee side that Giannis would even be discussing this at all. You think it's shocking to the organization, maybe it's something they've already known. Did they already see this coming? I need to go and look and see what they have said. Have they said themselves? Absolutely not. The door shut. You know how some organizations do. They come off the top rope with that. I'm not. Absolutely not. Don't even call us. We're not even listening.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's kind of softening on both sides, that tells me that the Giannis trade really could be happening, and it could be something that's exciting that happens during the draft, around the draft time. Something like that. So that would be pretty interesting to see that all kind of unfold.
Yeah, I mean they've really I mean let's just face it. I mean I think he was probably the spearheaded wanted Dame there, just wanted something different. And you trade away Chris Middleton for Kuzma, which hasn't worked out at all. So I just and it's one of those things. He's 31. He's brought a championship to your organization, but I have not heard where they're at. Like you said, I haven't heard if we're gonna slam the phone down. But I mean, if you look at their team, their roster, it's not. You kind of look at, hey man, we appreciate your giving us a championship, but if you want to stay, great. But I don't know what we can build around you. But we will do the best we can to move you to a team that you want to go to. I think that might be. I think that's where they're. I mean, I like you said, I haven't done a deep dive into the Reddit Milwaukee scenarios, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's where leaning just because they're where their roster is right now.
Well, he said he's reportedly reading the room regarding the Bucks' ability to contend for a championship.
Mm-hmm.
He signed that extension. It was a 3-year extension in 2023, and in that extension keeps him under contract until 2028. That's interesting because that means that you have some years left. If somebody was to trade for him, they have at least a few years left before they have to renegotiate.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a no trade clause. So I think maybe he's in a situation where he's going to try to figure out, I win here or not?
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what it really is all about, like pure basketball. Can I win here? Or are you guys headed for rebuild land and I'm past 31 into my prime? I need to get out of here.
Right. Exactly. If we want to win a championship and with this way the roster is now, there's no way. It's just when you look at the roster, they're not competing. They're not competing.
Well, not with that Dame injury also, right?
No,
I mean,
right.
That's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. Well, let's talk here about the last teams kind of as time of recording. All these teams are up significantly in their series, and we're going to kind of talk about who is the most surprising. Here, we'll start with the Knicks. Surprised or not that they are taking it to Boston like they have been. Maybe if this is any surprise on my side, it'd just be because Boston was a number 1 seed. So that's where the surprise would kind of come from. But besides that, I mean, the Knicks have been knocking for a couple years here. They were, I think they're 3rd seed. I got to go back and check and see what their seeding was coming into the playoffs. But it's not like they weren't at the bottom. Yeah, they weren't bums. So this isn't very far off. But I guess that's still surprising to see the former champions come out here and just have the Knicks just taking it to them the way they have been. Surprise. So on my surprise, on the scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most surprised, I will have to just give this about a 7. 7 because they're champions. It's Boston. I really thought they would handle business, but I can't go to super surprised because the Knicks weren't trash. You know what I mean? So it's not like, and I like the Cat. The Cat situation really seems to have been working out for them. I like the team in general, but the Cat trade seems to be working out for them. So 7 out of 10 on the surprise meter. Surprised, but not shocked.
Yeah. And it also helps that, also Porzingis hasn't played up to the level that he did last year, in the playoffs. So you got that side of it. So, but no, I'm not surprised. And the only surprise is like they were like 0 and 10 or 0 and 8 against the top 3, the top seeds going into the playoffs. So
who
that's
was
my
the
only
Knicks
surprise.
or the Celtics?
The Knicks were they were
okay.
like they had a losing record. They were 0 for against the Cavs and the Celtics going into the playoffs. So That's my only surprise. But I mean, they've got. Here's the thing. It's one of those things you have to go back. I mean, I don't look at regular season anymore and go, oh, well, yeah, they did this. It's just the Knicks have guys. They have 5 dudes that are going to go out there and compete, and that's the thing. It's like you watch those games, and when it just the inbound pass being stolen by Johnson, and just the block by by Bridges, and just it's just those things that you can't quantify in a regular season matchup, and that's what the Knicks have done. They have just leaned on to that. Just, hey, yes, you're champions. We get that, but we're not scared of you. And that, I think that's the difference. The way when you watch a series is that the Knicks just haven't been scared. It's like, look, yes, we may, and yes, you can, if you dive it down to like a microscope. Yeah, I mean, there could have been moments where Boston should have won a game or two, but man, the Knicks are just like they're not scared. And when you play a team that's not scared, that's kind of a scary scenario.
Agreed. And maybe you taking those L's. You saw Boston knock on the door a little bit before they got over the hump, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would get a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Knicks have a similar trajectory in the last couple of years. They're knocking. If they were to get to this hump, which is getting to the conference finals, just another knock, just getting a little bit closer for them. Just another step onto the promised land. And it's not to say that step can't be taken this year. Maybe it can. On to Indiana. I am pretty shocked here. I'm going to say I am a 9 out of 10 shocked here.
Yeah, me too.
9 out of 10 shocked here because I thought that the Cavs were number 1 seed. I said that Boston was number 1 seed.
Cavs were
Cavs were the number 1 seed. Yeah. And for good reason. They were taking it to teams this year, and they were looking great. That got Garland, Mobley, Mitchell connection was looking pretty good, and I didn't think this was going to go. So I'm not going to lie to you. I have slept on Indiana. I have slept on Indiana. I like Halliburton, and I love the Siakam edition because I like Siakam. I've always respected his game. He's a pretty solid player. So I like that addition there in Indiana. But I didn't think they were going to be taking it to the Cavs the way they have. Now, the first game, there was no Donovan Mitchell, I don't think. Or no Darius Garland, my bad.
There was Garland, right.
You need all your players. So if you don't have all your players, I think these teams are so close. A lot of the better teams anyway, not like these are any play-in teams. A lot of your better teams are pretty close to each other. So you need all your players that have contributed to your success up to this point to really play in the playoffs, if not even a couple more guys to really kind of step it up in the playoffs. And when you're missing key guys like a Darius Garland, it's an issue for you. So when I heard that, I thought he was maybe an out for the series. I was kind of tilted towards Indiana's direction, but I haven't watched enough Indiana basketball this year to say that I saw this coming. What are your thoughts here? I need some surprise as well.
I'm just as surprised as you. I mean, they're just, to me, they were just a high octane offensive team. And I thought they would get exposed by playing Cleveland, who has the offense, but also has the defense, and also got Hunter from us, who is a defensive specialist. I thought, okay, great. You have an extra wing that can,
who's been great for them, by the way.
Right. Good. Was great for them. They got a great defender, a great scorer. I mean, but here we are, and I don't know if you had your notifications on, but they're going to Eastern Conference Finals. They just beat Cleveland. So I mean, and they were nowhere in the odds favorites to get to this spot. I mean, I'm like you. I like Halliburton, but I like him as a guy. I've never thought all NBA kind of. I mean, he has those all NBA moments, but also he has those thought moments. You're like, ooh, that doesn't look good. So I don't know what to make of this team other than kind of like has it with the Knicks. They have a bunch of guys that they're not scared of the moment. Like, hey, look, this is who we are. We had a good regular season, and we're gonna just beat you up and down the court. And yeah, you may beat us on the defense side, but you know what? Hey, we're gonna run the ball right back at you, and then we're not gonna slow down. So kudos to them. I'm right there with you, man. They were my no. There's no way they're not getting
Probably the team
past
I would
you.
have picked the least to cheer. Like if you
The
had told me
least,
that of all the teams that are left
the
in the
least.
East, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and
No,
come on this show and act like
no.
Indiana would have been the team I would have picked over Boston, over the Knicks. I went over the Cavs. I would not have picked them over any of these teams.
No,
And
right there with
here
you.
we are, right into the Eastern Conference Finals, and
Yeah, in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Shout out to Indiana. I mean, it's a hard fought. They were really kind of counted out, at least by me, and
right there with you, man. Don't feel bad. I'm right there. You're not alone. We can.
I mean, if they were playing the Cavs, I'm thinking like, yo, the Cavs are gonna just handle this. It's just a formality. You know what I mean? The Cavs are gonna go handle business, and Indiana says, "Hold on a second, bro. We gotta play these games.
Hold on a second.
We gotta play these games." And here we are. Congratulations to the Indiana fan base. Congratulations to the Pacers for something I just did not see coming. Definitely a 9 out of 10 in the shock arena here for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any shock with the Timberwolves doing the Warriors the way they have? I guess no Steph Curry here, man. No Steph Curry. Any shock there?
No, I mean I would love to see Steph just because I think Minnesota has more talent. Obviously, I mean I don't know. I know they do. I mean, I'm gonna have to think about it, but I would just like to see Steph in these games because you can see it's like Butler can hold it, the team can hold it for a moment, but I just think Minnesota just can out talent them in so many different facets of the game. And it's just, and I think I know he's not. I think it might, and obviously I've done cliche sports talk. This is a must-win game for the for Golden State, no duh, because he's not playing Game 5. So I just wanted to see Steph. I mean, we're getting to the point. It's like when you and I were watching Jordan. We were watching to the end, right? We're watching Kobe, and we were getting to those moments like, okay, I want more moments. And it's kind of like with LeBron. It's kind of what thing with Steph. I just want more moments with him, and I don't want to be injury plague. And I get it. He has hamstring. I don't want him to ruin any more future that he has. I just want to see more of him. And it's like when he's not, I'll watch the games, but I'm watching on my phone, watching the game. When he's on the court and I'm watching him. And I get it. And I hope they win. I hope Golden State wins just so I can to watch more Steph.
Oh man,
guilty pleasure. I just
uphill, because I definitely am rooting for the Ant-Man here because I am rooting for this series to be Minnesota and Knicks for my selfish pleasure here. I would love to see a Minnesota New York championship only because I would like to see these two teams that have taken stars from each other's rosters in the very same year played each other in the finals. That would be incredible because the Cat, you have a storyline where Cat goes to New York from Minnesota, and then Julius Randle goes from New York to Minnesota, and both these players are contributing for their respective teams. It's not like either one's a bum, so it's not like Cat sitting around. It's not like Julius is sitting around. They're both out there contributing for their respective teams. It'd be amazing then to watch these guys now play the teams that traded them,
right,
in the finals. Both with, sometimes you'll have that on one side where you have one guy that's got a chip on his shoulder for the team that traded him, but you got one of those guys on each team, and they're contributors. You know, so it'd be interesting to watch that. I'm selfishly rooting for that championship. It's not to say that any of the other teams like OKC, Denver, the other teams don't deserve it. I don't really have anything against them. No, more so than just really wanting to watch that story. I only want to watch the storyline. I'm only rooting for the storyline.
It's a great storyline. And Julius Randle, right? He hasn't played to his level the whole year. Like he's been in and out.
Right.
It's been kind of
I
like,
think his
but the
best
playoffs,
playing is right about
the
now. He's been
playoffs has
playing
been
good.
amazing.
Yes,
The
he's been
playoffs,
playing well
like
now.
right, and which is great. When then I think he has like an option coming up, and like, hey, they're already talking like he's probably going to opt out of his player option because he's going to make more money because how well he's playing in the playoffs and all the eyeballs on him. But yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not mad at that scenario. I think that's great to have just two just awesome franchises, and and that and Davis just.
Anthony Edwards.
I'm sorry, Anthony Edwards dead nine. I'm sorry, getting my Davis and my Anthony's mixed up. But yeah, you're right. So nothing wrong, nothing wrong with that scenario at all.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting series to watch because then, and also too because of how the two teams play. But I really like all the teams. I'm trying to think of the teams that are left now because we really only have Boston, not Boston, but Cleveland eliminated. I do think that unfortunately the Jason Tatum news is going to expedite the Boston situation, which you probably looking at a 3-1 lead for New York. You could probably anticipate if they were going to close that out even with Jason Tatum playing, doing that as they performed with Jason Tatum playing up to this point. But I think it's even a bigger hill to climb with no Jason Tatum. So almost a foregone conclusion there. That's going to be New York and Indiana. Just the way that New York plays. But I don't have anything really against any of the teams. Indiana has shown me once. I can't keep betting against them. So I'm not really going to say they can't do it against New York. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the next round if New York does make it through, and it's them in Indiana. And then all the teams in the West, I genuinely like OKC. I genuinely like Denver. I have no issue with those teams. And the Timberwolves, the Warriors would be the least on my wants to see because of Steph's health situation being so kind of fickle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like these other guys seemingly, I know you can knock on wood right now, of course, but these other guys seem to have their stars. I'm thinking about the stars across the spectrum of teams that are left in the game. A lot of them seem to still have their stars there. So I kind of root for that teams that kind of have their stars. Then you got the storylines after that and stuff like that. And Golden State just seems to be in a very touch and go situation from a star standpoint. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's there. I don't know, man. I don't know if he's got another tough couple series in him, because I was going to try to see him here in Atlanta. He got injured literally the day before. So I wasn't able to see him here. And then you have a situation where that was only maybe a month-ish or so ago, and here we are again. So these injuries, they start to happen a little bit closer to each other. And also, I just like the other teams better. Golden State would be probably the last on that list, even though Jimmy Butler is intriguing. He can go out there and still do it for them. But no Steph is devastating. I wish he was out there playing as you were yourself.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts here on the draft lottery or any of this stuff before we get out of here?
I'm very intrigued by this Denver OKC. I'm very I think I sent you the text. If OKC doesn't pull us out, I wonder. I mean, they have the draft capital. Do they make a panic trade? And it's not really a panic trade because they have the draft capital to bring somebody in. I mean, I know Zion's not going anywhere because since he went to the draft, he's probably the face of their franchise. But if you have now, if you lose, you were the number one seed coming out of the West. You were the projected team to go to the Western Conference Final. So if you lose to, let's just face it, Denver, you should beat Denver just on paper. And I know we don't play on paper, but I wonder if they because they do have the draft capital to go, look, we have picks from other teams that might intrigue Milwaukee to go, hey, we do have talent as well to give you for Giannis. So I'm very intrigued by that from that series. Just from
like the OKC saying, hey, we need to make kind of like Golden State did with making that Kevin Durant run or so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, we had that extra third piece to go, look, we love Chet, but maybe we give you Chet picks and whatever for Giannis, and that you get that third piece to go with SGA and Jalen there. So I mean, I'm just curious. That's the one series that kind of fascinates me, just because Denver's been hanging around for a team you thought fires their coach like a week before the playoffs, and they
Right.
just
They were fourth seed, right? Remember they fired coach, and we discussed that at the time that they fired him. They were. It seemed like they were already in the playoffs when they fired him. He was a playoff coach getting fired, pretty much.
Playoff coach getting fired, and all of a sudden they are just playing and like just out of their mind, and they're playing competitive. They were like on defensive metrics. They were like one of the worst defensive teams, and again, they're not blowing you away on defense now, but they're holding their own, and they legit have five guys. That's it. They have five guys, and maybe you have Russell Westbrook. Okay, 5.5. You got 5.5 guys on that team that you're throwing out there, and Porter, they have to people are gonna have to help him take off his jersey because the guy, he has a messed up shoulder. So I mean, so it's just, I'm watching that series with just absolute intrigue to see what happens, and I think OKC will pull it out. But man, if Denver pulls it out, I really want to see where the panic meter goes with that organization.
Well, you know what's interesting about the Denver situation, and I've talked to you before about these teams. When you're playing these teams that have won championships, I told you, I call them these sleeping giant teams, and we talked about this on the show for years. And I've told you these teams, the Warriors were like this for a while. Those sleeping giant teams are teams that have won championships with a lot of the people who contributed to that championship still there on the roster. So if they're still there on the roster, and that they know what it feels like to win, to hoist a trophy. They know what it feels like to go through a grueling championship run and all that experience. And they're still all contributing. They're still all starting to a certain degree or still playing a decent amount of minutes. Those are the sleeping giant teams because they can just wake up and remember, hey, we won a championship before. We could really tap into that. So I think Denver is one of those teams. They're not that far removed. They can tap into that and go and win another championship, in my opinion. So those teams you always got to look out for. Golden State, like I said, was that for years when they had Clay. They were that team for years that could, hey, at any given point, these guys have multiple championships. They can put together a few series here for you. So I think Denver is one of those teams. And maybe if you look at the OKC, let's say OKC takes an L here, Eugene. I think you would be able to chalk it up. Right now, I don't think you can get this next year because you're running out of this excuse. You can talk it up to being age and young. They're a young team. They're getting they're in over their skis a little bit. And you can chalk it up to that, I think, this year because they're making it further and further. I think they're making it further and further, showing progression.
Right.
And then it's going to get to the point, kind of the same trajectory that I felt like Brown and Tatum were on. With Boston, where they were a young team, they were getting close, right? They were looking good out the gate, but they weren't quite there. They were getting closer and closer and closer. You see OKC taking that kind of trajectory. If they were to take an L against a Denver team that's more experienced and does still have it in them, I don't think yet you exactly go on a firing spree or anything like that. But I do think that getting Giannis is attractive for most teams, right? Like that's just something that a lot of people are just not going to turn that down. And anything that you could do, if this is as much as I might like Chet, I mean, come on. If they're making a phone call and Giannis is on the way, I mean, Chet, you're out of here, brother. I mean, come on. He would know that himself.
Chet with some picks, right? Chet
come
with
on,
picks,
bro. You're out of here, man. But that would be intriguing. Maybe that is an intriguing situation, you know. And Giannis would go to a contender, which would also be an intriguing situation. But Denver saying we're not dead yet. And what do you think about that? If Denver is to go ahead and pull this thing out, was the Mike Malone, does that look bad or worse? Like what does that look like? A crappy decision, a great decision?
I mean, right now it's looking like I think no matter what the series ends, right now they're 2-2. So let's just say, because I think it's going 7 games. I really think this series is going 7 games. So just the way that it's been one of the most competitive series, right? Just from what we're watching. But I just think you look at it and go, wow, this has been a really, they're trying and it really woke them up. If they go to the Western Conference Finals, I mean that's pretty amazing. And my only pushback on the OKC thing, the young guys. Well, Tatum and Brown went to a finals. They lost, but they still went to a finals. I mean, that would be my only thing. Well, yeah, we wait another year, but those guys already went to a final. So
Who would be the
that
Tatum on who? So we have SGA, right? Because I don't even know, have we really identified, Eugene, who, if we were to use that same analogy right there, have we identified who the Brown would be on OKC? Who is the Jalen Brown on OKC?
So you're Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams is your kind of your number two.
If we're looking at these guys, we're looking at SGA, because I'm tracking. I would need to go back and look at Boston's years, because I'm starting. If I'm starting Boston, Tatum, and Brown, I got to start them back in the Kyrie years. I think they were there when Kyrie, right? I need to see where, if we are in the OKC experiment, I would say maybe we're a couple years in, because SGA's been MVP status for 2 to 3 years, but he hasn't really had to help like Chet Holmgren and those guys for the last year or so, right? He's only had those guys around maybe a year. No Chet for sure, right? Because Chet was injured his first year.
And Chet was injured, but this most year too. Yeah, he was injured like this majority this year as well.
You're kind of just seeing that kind of come to fruition there. I think that I would compare these days that OKC is in my opinion, is more akin to the days of Kyrie and the Kyrie, Brown, Tatum days, because I think those days are extremely early. Couple years, maybe the first couple years in, maybe, and then about 5 years in, I think you get to the championship. But I could be also completely lying about that. I need to track that and see how many years did it take for Boston to actually hit that championship after knocking up at the door so often. But OKC's young, man, and on the same trajectory. I think
they really are. You're right. Because
expectations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because Chet's 23, J. Will is 24, and SGA right now is 26. So you're right. It's not like they have to like
the elder statesman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But hey, man, the championships, when you're this good, I don't think it's wrong to have expectations. I don't think that's crazy, right?
Right, absolutely.
It's better than being these teams that suck. They just expect to pick in the top of the lottery all the time. You know, those teams, those teams have no expectations.
Correct.
This is Just Stats. Check us out, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. See you next time.